The legal team of Dr. Terence Drew in the bribery case filed against Member of Parliament Eugene Hamilton have expressed doubt that the Director of Public Prosecution, the DPP, Valston Graham, can remain unbiased in prosecuting the case. The team made its claim in a letter to the DPP sent to the media this week. According to the letter, comments made by the DPP in his emergency press conference last week to address reasons why he took over the bribery case, which went before the court last month, create doubt that he can handle the case in an unbiased manner. The letter listed several concerns that Dr. Drew, chairman of the Labour Party and candidate who challenged Mr. Hamilton in the June 2020 general elections, has regarding the DPP handling the case. For one, they claim that Dr. Drew is troubled by the DPP's admission to being a close friend of the leader of the People's Action Movement, the party of which Mr. Hamilton belongs. The legal team also raised concerns that the DPP did not communicate to Dr. Drew his intentions to take over the case prior to the court appearance of February 25th, where this was revealed. Most notably, the legal team raised concerns about some of the statements made by the DPP at his press conference, which it claims is dismissive of the charges and give the impression that he has already come to a conclusion on the matter, even before reviewing the case. The letter made specific reference to the DPP's comments comparing the COVID-19 relief packages to the ROOF program. According to Dr. Drew's legal team, the manner in which these comments were made insinuated that there was no real basis for the charges and or that he had already come to a conclusion even without properly reviewing the matter. In light of these and other concerns, Dr. Drew's legal team is requesting the DPP to engage counsel to conduct and prosecute the matter on behalf of its office. The letter disclosed that Dr. Drew has already retained a QC from Jamaica to deal with preparation of this matter with the intention of instructing her to prosecute this case. They have also asked the DPP to have legal counsel present when their witnesses are being interviewed by its office, as they do not feel comfortable with the DPP conducting this interview in the absence of counsel of their choice. Dr. Drew in this case is alleging bribery on the part of Mr. Hamilton in the lead-up to the Federation's 2020 general elections. Mr. Hamilton's team distributed care packages to constituents in St. Christopher 8, which labelled Vote Pam. And according to Dr. Drew, this constitutes bribery on the part of his political opponent. Mr. Hamilton won the seat by less than 30 votes. I'm Andre Huey for SKN Newsline.
A signature project of the Nevis Island Administration, supported by the government of the Republic of China, Taiwan, is said to be over halfway completed. Premier Mark Brantley indicated that the St. Kitts and Nevis Pinnis Beach Park project at Pinnis Nevis is expected to be completed by year-end. The project, which is a national project, is being funded by the ROC Taiwan and the Nevis Island Administration, with ROC Taiwan providing US $2.4 million out of the US $2.7 million of the total project cost.
Pinnis Park is a popular topic of mine. It is one of the signature projects that we've sought to do here on the island of Nevis. I'm told that work is progressing smoothly, and my dear friend from Taiwan has now indicated that they're at 52.7% complete. So they've passed the halfway mark, 52.7%. Foundation of the visitor center has been completed. They're now running up the walls for that. Outdoor bathrooms are done. Only roofing remains to be done. Cosmetic work is being done in Nivision stone to the outside of these structures. The sewage system for the park, the components have arrived. Those will shortly be installed. And we have already done some 14% of the landscaping because they've decided to do the landscaping at the same time, where possible, as they're doing the construction. The target date, if you recall, is December 2021, and they advise that there have been no delays and that we are well on track. So I would want to just note that things are going well there thus far.
The 11.5-acre recreational park will include a visitor center, jogging trails, a picnic area, an amphitheater, parking lots, and a central open space that can host major events. It will also be a significant tourism product for the island of Nevis. Glenn Bard, SKN Newsline.
KC Old Road United delivered a shock defeat to Hobson Enterprises Garden Hotspurs 3-1 in the SKNFA Premier League on Friday night at the Warner Park. Nequan Brown got the goal scoring off for Old Road in the 11th minute, followed by Anthony Grant in the 36th minute, before Spurs got a consolation goal in the 43rd minute. Pressing for that equalizer didn't come, and Tequani Williams sealed the victory for Old Road in the 87th minute. Also on Friday, SL Horses St. Paul's registered their second win of the season with a 4-1 drubbing of Trafalgar South Stars. Goal scorers for St. Paul's, Keithroy Freeman, who you'd expect, got the goal scoring off for St. Paul's in the 11th minute. That was followed up by Vince Roy Nelson, the former Keon player, who added the second goal for St. Paul's in the 25th minute. After the halftime break, Mazari Hodge of South Stars got one in the 51st minute for South Stars, giving them some hope that they could probably get something from this match. But Ajani Mills and Malik Clark made sure that St. Paul's got the win, scoring in the 83rd and 90th minute respectively. St. Peter's FC is on a roll after dispatching Saul Allen Auto Supply's Connery FC 6-0 last week in a shock result in the SKNFA Premier League. They edged Flow 4GK Rockets 1-0 on Sunday at the Warner Park. That goal came from Tiquan Tyrrell in the 20th minute.
St. Peter's free kick for the Keon goal. And we have a lovely, not taken cleanly by Zaire. And then we have head upon head upon head upon head upon head, and eventually, with a ping pong of headers, I think it's Tiquan Tyrrell who ended up putting the ball in the back of the net. But that goal was caused by the initial error by the goalkeeper, Zarian Clark, coming out and not taking the cross cleanly.
Commentary provided by Al Edwards and Kenneth Bobb. In Sunday's other match, Saul Allen Auto Supply's Connery drew 0-0 with Hot Springs Bath United. The SKNFA Premier League continues this Friday at 6 p.m. when Fast Cash Saddlers will do battle with Hot Springs Bath United, followed by SL Horses St. Paul's United taking on Saul Allen Auto Supply's Connery at 8:30 p.m. All matches will be streamed live on the SKNFA website at www.sknfa.com. Fast Cash Saddlers enjoyed their hold on the top of the table, drawing to Escrave Newtown United 1-1 on Saturday night. Having enjoyed two big wins in their first two matches, Saddlers seemed to be on a roll for a third straight win when Stefan Rollins scored in the 49th minute for the Purple Nation. But Delano Hodge of Newtown, who was a threat all night, notched the equalizer in the 58th minute. The match was broadcast live on the SKNFA website. Commentators Sylvester Charles and LaShawn Dixon.
In the middle, we have tonight David Phipps, the ref. This one comes across the goalkeeper, trying to control the one, and he scores! Oh my word, what an opportunity there. It looks as though it is the number 15, in fact, Rollins. So flicked that one on and got it between the two defenders into the back of the net. And Saddlers has scored the first goal in tonight's game in just about the 47th minute or thereabout, and they're celebrating a Saddlers 1 and Escrave Newtown 0.
Yes, opportunity. Saddlers taking advantage from a set piece from the western side.
The feet a bit of a bubbling on top of the box. Ball being played wide by Rumpile, finds the man. McCann comes across and the flick on and the ball drilled into the back of the net. It's a goal to Newtown. Finally, Newtown has gotten the equalizer, and that one scored by Delano Hodge. 3 players standing there. I wondered for a moment if they weren't offside.
Yes. Three Newtown players, they found themselves behind the Saddlers defenders. I thought the Saddlers
standing there.
Yes. I believe the Saddlers defenders were anticipating an offside call, but the flag never came, and they punished the defenders.
In Saturday's other match, TGE Diabe Eagles suffered their second defeat in the SKNFA Premier League on the weekend, losing to Rans Village Superstars 3-1. From the first minute of the match, it became clear it would have been a long day for Diabe. As soon as the first whistle went, Carlos Bertie found the back of the net for Village. 9 minutes later, Kimari Rogers doubled the lead, but only for Shaveen Boston of Diabe to get one back. That made the match an interesting affair as Diabe mounted several challenges, putting some pressure on Village. But the former champions were up to the task and added a third protective goal in the 72nd minute from Samani Williams, who had just come on the field before scoring. Ordell Fleming of Village was sent off in the 47th minute with a straight red card. Here are highlights with commentators Al Edwards and Essington Watts.
But here comes Village, try to get across immediately, and Carlos Botti is in the back of the net in the first minute of play. Across, coming from the right side, Botti picks off the man, muscles off the man, caught the goalkeeper in no man's land, and had the easiest of tasks to knock it into an empty net. Village 1, Detbe 0. So here come again. This time in the box, this time it should be a goal, it's there! And making no joke with this one. 2-0. It looks like the man Soka. Is that Kimari atoning for his miss now? Yes, it is Kimari. Probably on. And Boston is onside. Boston gets in, and Boston scores! It's 2-1.
What a goal by Boston. Very good goal indeed to pull one back for Detbe. The ball was played through the Village Superstar defense. Boston got on the end of it.
Oh, it's a foul. Now they come forward with Rogers. Rogers goes inside the shot. The goal, it's there! It's there! Number 3 for Village, finally. In fact, the youngster who just came on, it looked like his first touch. What a touch! Into the back of the net.
Watch a touch indeed, and it was coming.
The SKN Newsline website now offers you more news. Log on to www.sknnewsline.com for local, regional, and international news. You can also watch the latest newscast and keep abreast with news in sports, all from sknnewsline.com. That's www.sknnewsline.com. News at your fingertips.
Stay abreast with news on St. Martin with SMN News. Visit www.smn-news.com for up-to-date news, scoops, opinions, and hard-hitting facts. SMN News, we tell it like it is. Visit our website www.smn-news.com.
For the finest in pastries and baked products, your only choice has to be Bryden's Bakery, located on Main Street, New Road, St. Peters. They offer the best in breads, cakes, cheesecakes, cupcakes, cookies, and much more. Visit their cafe and savor breakfast sandwiches, coffee, espresso, and ice cream. Bryden's Bakery also specializes in a variety of healthy breads, cakes, cookies, pies, and pastries for all your special events. Call 667-1505. Opening hours 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday to Saturday and 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. on Sundays for Ice Cream Sundays. Bryden's Bakery, simply the best.
Banners, commercial signs, decal printing, canvas prints, license plates, posters. We at Multigraphics are dedicated to providing quality products and service to our customers. Our team takes pride in the craftsmanship and is passionate about its work. Every job, large or small, is important. Most of our customers come to us through referrals. That's because our number one priority is service. We serve a wide variety of customers, such as restaurants, retail stores, manufacturers, trucking companies, and many more. Our capabilities include design, production, and installation. How can we help? We are located at Bird Rock at the Woods Right compound. Call us at 869-763-1511 or 784-491-7599. Multigraphics.
The recent ban on funerals and burials means that the families who were planning on burying their loved ones from March 8 through to March 22 will now have to pay about $70,000 extra to funeral parlors to store the body. Families say they are unable to afford the added cost of storage. Funeral homes say they have exceeded capacity. A large number of stakeholders are urging the government to revise the protocols and allow burials to continue. A Trelawney Bishop says the ban is hurting bereaved families.
give the family the option of burying the body and give them 2 or 3 choices on how it can be done than just no burials at all.
Funerals have been long identified by the authorities as one of the main reasons for illegal gatherings, as the government implements strict measures to contain the spread of the coronavirus, which has so far killed over 430 Jamaicans. This as there were reports of scores of people gathering outside churches and under tents, while there was a 15-person limit on funerals. Reverend Anthony Street says while the government failed to meet and discuss with stakeholders prior to the restriction, the ban was in the pipeline.
The measures were going to come because persons are not really abiding by the measures that were in place before. So, and based on the spike in COVID-19, the Prime Minister had to take some measures. However, it could have been discussed.
Weddings are allowed with no more than 25 people, and some pastors, funeral directors and families making funeral arrangements are outraged at what they describe as a clear bias.
No one chooses to die. Everybody wants to live. It's a choice to get married.
In the meantime, only 10 people are allowed to attend church service up to March 22. Christine Forbes for CVM Live.
St. Lucia's heavy borrowing of late has led to concerns about the impact its public debt burden would have on future economic growth and the ability of future administrations to sustain themselves. A nation's debt to gross domestic product (GDP) ratio is an important indicator of its creditworthiness and, to a large extent, its viability. The rule of thumb for international financial organizations is that a nation's debt to GDP ratio should be below 60%. But according to the latest assessment of the Caribbean Development Bank, St. Lucia's debt to GDP ratio stands at more than 100%. Prime Minister Alan Chasney, in a call Monday to Radio 100's popular morning program Out Goes In, acknowledged St. Lucia's debt to GDP ratio is high, but placed it at closer to 90%.
Remember that there was a shortage and an anticipated shortfall in tax revenues of almost $200 million. And we also had to find $175 million to pay off bonds that would have normally turned over. Plus, you had the increase in the cost expenses due to COVID, both in terms of from a health perspective, and then the other one from an income and substance support system. So the projection right now is that our debt to GDP is going to be around 90%.
The economic fallout from COVID-19 has exacerbated the situation, with St. Lucia's government increasingly turning to creditors to fund its major capital works. But the government is being criticized for prioritizing capital projects over the welfare of its people at this time, a criticism the government roundly dismisses. Prime Minister Alan Chasney says the recent loans have been on very favorable terms.
The monies that we have borrowed, Andre, and that we were able to borrow, came from the World Bank, the IMF, and CDB, and also ECCB, and also the Taiwanese. We were very fortunate, one, to have access to those resources, but even more importantly, they are extremely concessional. So the World Bank and the IMF monies are 40-year loans with a 10-year moratorium at 0.5% interest. The funds from the Taiwanese is 20-year borrowing with a 5-year moratorium. Why is that important? Because it means it gives the country some space to recover its economy and regain its GDP and probably even exceed its current GDP. Before it has to start commencing to repayment the principal of those loans, and plus you're talking about 0.5%. So we know that the country can afford to have taken on the loans, but the statistic of debt to GDP, which is being used for the credit rating of the country, can be problematic.
The debate over the recent rise in government borrowing centers on St. Lucia's capacity to pay back the impact of the indebtedness on future growth and viability, and the purpose and management of the debt. Prime Minister Alan Chasney says his government is focused on growing the economy, thereby, he argues, reducing the debt to GDP ratio. Stanley Lucien for the HTS News Force.
They arrived at dawn, limped their way into the office of the governor, exhausted, and some too sick to work. They served meals in an office where normally cabinet meetings are held. With their first decent meals in days, they gathered the strength to tell us what happened.
They drove us like animals. Some of us were falling and getting injured. They made us trek for 2 to 3 hours and spent the first 2 days in the camp. They pushed us forward, threatening to kill anyone who refused to move. Despite the blisters on our feet, they forced us to walk further until we reached the second and then the third camp.
The 279 students were kidnapped while they were sleeping in their boarding school dormitories in the town of Jangebe, in circumstances similar to the Boko Haram kidnapping of more than 270 girls in Chibok in 2014. This man, a former bandit, says he led several others to help bring the girls back.
We met and told them we came in peace, to leave with the girls who for no fault of theirs found themselves in such a situation. They also spoke about their grievances and why they took the girls. It was a long, difficult process full of tension, but we also came ready and prepared for the unforeseen.
The girls have now been taken to a secure location for medical examinations before they are reunited with their families. But that hasn't stopped excited parents like Lawali Usman to get close to where they are.
My joy is indescribable. I called my wife to tell her the girls are back. I haven't seen my daughter, but I'm relieved she's back. The past 4 days were traumatic. Now we can afford to eat, sleep, and smile.
The governor of Zamfara State, who has offered amnesty to gunmen who surrender, insists dialogue with the bandits will continue despite the pitfalls.
So it was those that refused that we are now fighting. And we thank God that we have the repentant ones. And those repentant ones are working for us, and they are working for the government, they are working for the security. So we're going to continue with that process, because not all of them that are bad, like the one that we use to secure the release of these children, they are all repentant bandits, because nobody can be able to reach them.
The kidnapping of these girls on Friday came hours before the release of another set of students kidnapped in central Nigeria. The Zamfara attack is the 6th mass school kidnapping in northern Nigeria in recent years.
With the girls back, attention is now shifting to the future of education. With schools continuously being targeted, especially in northern part of Nigeria, there are fears that the region, which has the highest rates of poverty, may fall even farther behind.
It's not clear if these girls will have the courage to return to school, or even if their parents will allow them to return. But for now, they're happy to enjoy their freedom, hoping the government will do more to protect them. Ahmed Idris, Al Jazeera, Gusau, Nigeria.
U.S. President Joe Biden has made his first major move against Russia. He's imposed sanctions on Russian officials and businesses in response to the poisoning and jailing of Alexei Navalny. The Kremlin critic was poisoned with a nerve agent Novichok in August and arrested when he returned to Moscow after receiving treatment in Germany. Let's speak to our White House correspondent Kimberly Halkett. Kimberly, the first sanctions by the Biden administration against Russia. What more details do we know?
Well, we're standing by for a press briefing by the White House press secretary, where we hope to learn more about these actions. What we can tell you so far from a background briefing with reporters is that this will include 14 businesses and 1 entity, as well as 7 senior members of the Russian government. So we're still expecting to get more details on those specific individuals. But what I can tell you is that the United States consulted closely with its European Union ally to try and kind of send a message to Russia on the heels of the European Union doing its own set of sanctions. But this is just the beginning. because not only are these sanctions in response to the intentional poisoning, the U.S. intelligence say, of Alexei Navalny, the Russian opposition leader, and his subsequent jailing, but also the United States is interested in another action by Russia, and that is affecting the American supply chain, notably the hack that took place many months ago of American agencies, which laid that supply chain bare to Russian intelligence officials. So we expect, according to U.S. officials, there will be further action. This, they say, is just the first step in response to really a changing of the relationship that is taking place between the United States and Russia, and how the U.S. government will proceed moving forward.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that, what it signals in terms of the relationship between the U.S. and Russia, and how different it will be under the Biden administration.
It's a completely different relationship now as a result of these actions taken so early in the Biden administration. You remember the 2016 hacking by Russia. This was something that was concluded in terms of the intelligence here on the U.S. side, that Russia had interfered in the 2016 U.S. election to benefit Donald Trump. Even though there was that U.S. intelligence, Donald Trump refused to acknowledge, and even at the Helsinki summit where he met with Vladimir Putin, defended Russia and accepted Vladimir Putin's denials. It was a shocking moment here in the United States and left many people wondering what they didn't know about the U.S.-Russia relationship. As well, add to that the U.S. President Donald Trump never, in fact, took any punitive action against Russia for those bounties that were paid for on the lives of American soldiers in Afghanistan. So this is really a different approach taken again by the Biden administration in contrast to Donald Trump. And again, we're waiting to hear what more details we'll get from the White House press secretary when she holds her briefing in the next hour.
Thank you, Kimberly, for the moment. Of course, we'll be talking to you when we have more information out of Washington. Kimberly Halkett is our White House correspondent. Meanwhile, Russia's foreign minister says his country will respond to the sanctions. He cast doubt on Alexei Navalny's poisoning, but didn't mention the Kremlin critic by name.
When all those who treated him thoroughly hide all the facts which could help to understand what happened, and in parallel, instead of honest collaboration and not hiding, they start to punish us. This doesn't bring any credit to those who take decisions, and we will surely respond.
Dmitry Babich is a political analyst at the Russian state news agency Rossiya Sevodnya. He says the sanctions won't have an impact on the Russian economy.
Certainly, these actions by the U.S. will not have any effect on Russia, especially if you take into account the fact that actually the trade between Russia and the United States is very small. Sanctions from the European Union could be much more harmful, but so far they were limited to just several people whom the EU accused of being involved in Navalny's case. They are not going to have a serious impact on the economy. Actually, if you look at the real picture, Mr. Trump was much ruder and much more coarse with Russia than Mr. Biden. Mr. Biden is just insulting our president verbally. He made that terrible speech at the Munich conference where he didn't even mention the fact that Vladimir Putin is the president. He just said Putin is, undermining our institutions. So that's just rudeness, but it's verbal rudeness. Trump was rude in the sense that he imposed on Russia unheard of sanctions. But in general, of course, this is a very unfortunate situation because Russia would like to improve its relations with the United States and the European Union, but certainly not at the cost of letting someone like Navalny, who was declared guilty by the Russian court, not for political actions, but because he was a crook, he is in jail. Russia will not let a crook out of jail, even under sanctions.
Football is back, and the St. Kitts and Nevis Football Association will be bringing you live football on its website, www.sknfa.com, with Premier League Live. Without fans in the stadium due to COVID-19 protocols, you can now watch every single Premier League match this season on www.sknfa.com and click on Live TV. Games are shown live on every match day with halftime and post-game shows. It's Premier League Live. Commentary, analysis, action. Never miss a game. Auto Plus Car Wash, located on the College Street Gut, Bastyr, St. Kitts. Bring your car to Auto Plus Car Wash to remove water stains, wiper marks. Get your doors, roof panel cleaned, seat floor mats, buffing, headlights, and engine wash. You get quality service at the best price at Auto Plus Car Wash. They really care for your car. Call 765-5140 or visit them on the College Street Gut, Bastyr, St. Kitts. Auto Plus Car Wash, where the service is #1.